Hi, this is Tracy Swedlow, host of Televisionation, and I'm really happy to have Larry Thaler, who is the CEO of the Video Call Center. And we have not had them at TVOT before in the past, but with times as they are in the state of COVID-19, this is a very interesting company that you all should know about. So Larry, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Tracy. It's very nice to be on with you, and I appreciate having this time.
Now, you guys reached out to me, which is really fantastic. Why did you want to tell your story now? Tell me a little bit about what VCC does. I know what it does, but give me the basic definition, please.
Well, so we believe that everybody's walking around with the world's best EMG device sitting in their pocket, and people don't know how to use it. And it turns out that during a COVID-19 emergency, this is the time everybody starts to realize, oh my God, we can get remotes from everywhere. What we've been doing for 5 years is we've been getting them at extremely high quality. We get good two-way remotes from people's devices wherever they are, and we incorporate them into broadcast quality programs. And we're doing this for folks like WWE, TLC Network. We just started working with Vice just a couple of weeks ago, A&E Networks. And so this is effectively bringing in people from their home or from wherever they are in the world onto broadcast shows. And we do that three ways. One, working with the traditional control room. Two, audience aggregation through our caller queue if you want very large numbers of people to come in. And the third way is a platform we call HAT that allows us to bring in people from everywhere and produce a location-free program without a control room at all.
And you founded this company a couple of years ago, right?
Yes, we've been around for a few years. It took us a while to get the technology patented and to ensure it was stable and working really well for the broadcast industry. And we started working with clients about 4 years ago, and it's been an explosion ever since.
I want to show an example of what this looks like, and then I have a slew of questions for you. Sound good?
Okay, start with the bottom one. The MSG clip was a great place to start. This is our caller cloud product, which allows us to bring remotes into a traditional control room. Let's start there.
All right, let us now bring in Butch Goring via the Video Call Center. Butch, you are our first guest on the VCC. You've had a great career in hockey, and now you can add this to your resume. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much, Bill. I can see you've lowered your standards as far as our partner's concerned, but that's okay. Alan's a good guy.
Really finding his touch. You've seen a lot of growth in him from rookie mini camp to now.
You got to play to your personnel, and I love seeing that. And obviously Denver has an advantage inside.
All eyes in the world, in the hockey world right now, are centered on the New Jersey Devils. And I think that is huge, especially given how challenging last season was.
We have learned something very important here. The Video Call Center works anywhere. Even on a golf course, which is where we find our pal Kenny Danico, who is looking great.
Not just being named to the Hall of Fame, but the first unanimous decision.
I'm thankful to the Lord that allowed me to be one of the guys, being one of the guys that has been done something special in the game of baseball.
You're in Woodland Hills, California. You got a flat tire, and you're joining us waiting for AAA. Everything okay? Most importantly of all?
Yeah, everything is solid, man. So my day, I was going to do an interview with Drake's dad, actually. And, pop.
When I get back to the city, I expect dinner on BP. Not so much you, Alan, because I know you're willing to pay, but BP's in those alligator arms.
Where did you get that from?
Arms.
Make sure he informs
come
over some
on.
dinner.
Buddy, we got to get the jaws of life to get his wallet.
Alligator
Totally.
arms.
You
Your
know
favorite
that's
team is
not
probably
true.
The Raptors,
All
BP. Do you like the Raptors? Alligator arms.
All right. No birthday present for you.
We got you.
The New York Rangers Jade Stanley Cup Final, Stefan Matto.
You're hired.
Okay.
So that's a really good introduction to the caller cloud service, which is, think about it as a producer gives the VCC somebody's phone number, and we go and get them and deliver them to your control room. So we had a client just called this a white glove service, where the people on the end, the people who are remote contributors, are doing this in a way that they don't have to download any apps, and they don't have to go through a lot of trouble. All they do is click on a link, and they are able to get into our platform from doing that. And our call producers walk them through it. I mean, the call producers are really like three people in one. They're like the remote technicians, making sure the connectivity is good. They're like the producers who make sure the shot and the lighting and all of that is good. And they're like psychologists, because they're helping people who are not used to doing this be very comfortable in dealing with doing a video remote from their phones or other devices.
I mean, we have seen people use Skype calls on news programs, and the quality is always very iffy. So tell me a little bit about the whole process. I mean, you mentioned the sort of control aspect of it, but I know there's also a green room, there's quality control. Tell me a little bit about how that all gets managed and how you maintain that quality. And do you bring them into a particular app environment that you've developed, or is it just somehow routing their calls through the switching network?
Right. So there's really a bunch of secret sources here, and one is that we can, since we're app agnostic, we don't care what app we use. We can use the apps that are on the devices. We can switch between apps to maximize the quality based upon the amount of bandwidth they have. Certain apps work better in certain circumstances, and our call producers, are experts in matching those together. So that's one of our tricks.
So wait, before you go on, when you say apps, do you mean iOS and Android platforms, or do you mean other kinds of apps like calling through House Party, calling through Skype, calling through these kinds of things?
Right. So in this case, apps might be on an iOS device. It might be FaceTime. On an Android device, it might be the WebRTC. And we work with a couple of different WebRTC apps. We can work with Skype, but we actually use it for less than 5% of what we do, because the quality of the others is so much better. But we can match those apps to the device, the power of the device, and the bandwidth of the connection. And then we have the call producers who are doing this art, right, of getting this connection good, have done more than 7,000 calls. So this is what we do all the time. We're really good at it. So skill is part of the secret sauce here. And the last is built into our IP, into our patented portfolio. We have a way to take these consumer applications and encourage them to maximize their bandwidth so that their connection with us is as good as it can be. Instead of trying to minimize the amount of data that's being used, they're maximizing the output. And that's built into our patents. And so every one of the endpoints we deliver to, that's built into every call.
So how are some of these networks using this technology right now? You mentioned Vice is starting to use it. I mean,
yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So Vice is doing a show called Outside the Ring After Dark. They tape it on the VCC platform, and this is actually on the HAT platform, which is the third thing we're going to talk about. So this is completely location agnostic programming or television production without a crew, without staffing, and just using VCC's platform. So effectively, the talent are calling in or being connected through our call producers. They're connecting into our host automation technology, or HAT, which is doing the switching, the double boxes, playing graphics, playing videos. We're ISO recording each of those people who are coming in and feeding that back as files back to Vice's control room, back to their edit rooms. We're doing that also with A&E networks for Wanted, for Live PD Wanted series, and we started doing that just a couple of weeks ago. Part of not being able to get to control rooms is you need to be able to still create programming, sometimes multi-boxes and things like that. And we have a platform that lets us do that in a location agnostic way. And both of these customers are doing this production with their producers located remotely, their audiences, their contributors located remotely, coming to the VCC as kind of a hub. And then we're releasing the live to tape content to their edit rooms.
And who's designing the interface for all of this? Do you have a template thing? I mean, I guess it sounds like it's a professional tool, absolutely, but I almost think it could be a fabulous consumer tool. I don't know if you have a consumer ramp up version of this. Sounds like not. But
yeah, well, this is designed for broadcasters and streaming media producers, and so there is a cost. It's not we're not talking about a Zoom call here. This is significantly higher quality. It's customizable for the show, so the look and feel of the show matches what it is that the producers want, and we can deliver it in a very high quality HD 1080i way.
So let's say, I think you mentioned AMC, right? Let's say AMC.
A&E. We do not work with AMC.
Okay, A&E.
Yeah.
Mark Garner working with you out there. Hi, Mark, if you see this. He works on all the innovative stuff. So would you give them a template to work with to develop the show? Or would they go on to a platform in the back end, design what they want their show to look like? I mean, what's the creative process from start to finish, and how does it get distributed?
Right. So for these live to tape shows, we actually work with them up front to determine what their box positions will be. We actually have a tool that allows them to upload their graphics from their desktop, graphics and videos, show open, show close, and interstitial B-roll or feature pieces. But these guys, what they're doing is they're doing all of that in post. So what they need is the remotes to come into us to be grouped into their boxes. Kind of, we have two boxes here on this particular web chat, but you really want to be able to do your formatting with your graphics behind it, and so we're enabling that. The other thing we haven't talked about yet is something you mentioned in the beginning, is we have this caller queue, which allows us to bring audiences in and have the audiences become part of the program and to filter through that. One of the things we did recently was we did a show for Food Network on Thanksgiving. We had more than 700 people call in. We had exactly 5 slots on the air, but these 700 people were really more than happy to wait up to 40 minutes on average on the in our queue, trying to get one of those slots. And while they were there, they would take pictures of themselves, like selfies, so we know what they look like. They were talking about topics and what they might like to talk about, and they were trying to get these celebrity chefs to give them comments on their Thanksgiving recipes. That was the goal of the show, and we have an engine in there called the social amplification engine that allows us to take these viewers, turn them into participants, and turn the participants into promoters. So they're encouraged to go on the air or to go online, either in Facebook or maybe on Twitter, and say, I'm about to go on the air with Food Network. I'm really excited. And we actually feed them the information about what they should say. And that's all part of the Caller Q platform. So kind of a new way to tell a story. If you were thinking about talk radio, but you wanted it with pictures, this is the perfect platform for that.
When you're feeding this social information, are you feeding them a text back to their phone? Is that what you're doing, to give them that right in front of their face?
No, they're actually seeing live video back to their face. It's a live video interface. So
if they want to promote it, to their own,
so they would go into, they click a link on within the caller queue, and that would take them to make the post on Facebook or on Twitter.
Okay. Well, can you give me can you give me a ballpark figure? Like, if you're a network, what kind of money are you talking?
We don't talk prices on web chats. Sorry. But what I will say is that we price based upon 3 things. We price upon the scope of work. What do you want to do? So we have clients like TLC that do 90 Day Fiancé franchise, and we may have 4 to 6 cast members from all over the world being brought onto these tell-alls. We've done as many as 5 continents in the same show, up for 10 or 14 hours at a time, right? So that's one scope of work, and that's not everybody's scope of work. So what's your scope of work? How many people are coming in simultaneously? What platform are we using to do this? And how long will that go on for? But also, how frequently will that be? Is it a one-time show, like a special? Or is it something that happens every week or every month? Or, we have some clients like Fox Sports 1 who we're on the air with every day. And so the price is based upon volume. And the last thing we do is we look at distribution. So if you're a web distributor with 100,000 viewers, you're going to pay a different price than a national broadcast network with potentially 110 million viewers. And so that's part of our scaling, allows us to scale to different markets.
You are recording these shows live, but are you broadcasting any of these things live?
Sure. So we can also do a web stream on behalf of somebody's. There are shows that we do that are live, and they stream out, and we deliver to their CMS. If it's online, we also have delivered live to People's Master Control. For example, we did a show for Discovery called Alaska, the Last Frontier, a series of 6 short podcaster shows with the host in Homer, Alaska, the guests from all over the country. The producer was in a hotel in St. Louis. We switched at the VCC and delivered it to Sterling, Virginia Master Control. Location agnostic production is one of the specialties we have. But so we can deliver to CMSs or we can deliver to master controls.
I mean, this technology, putting this all together, sounds very complex, and you've done a lot to get it to this place. But is there any work to provide people with interactivity at all? Since it's an online file, no, maybe that's a future.
Well,
that's a future offering, perhaps.
But it depends how you define interactivity. So we're having a conversation now, you and I. So we have a conversation in these shows with remote contributors. I might be a remote contributor now, but also audience members. So that they're not just tweeting or chatting; they're actually interacting and talking to each other. And when we apply this to a musical genre, people go crazy just to have the opportunity to talk to their musical hero and to be able to talk and not just text, right? Texting is great, but it's so much better to be able to have a conversation.
It's amazing that you bring that up, because I mean, various live streamed applications had a big lead, like Periscope, Meerkat, which was one of the early ones. Of course, now they're House Party, and YouNow, and these kinds of companies. And they haven't really made much of what they were doing, but the power was that you were able to talk with, at least in text, with somebody in front of you. Now you can, what you're saying is you can provide the ability for people to have video chats in a programming environment. I want to tell you shortly, indulge myself. My husband and I were involved in a project in the early 90s called 21st Century Vaudeville in San Francisco, in which this team we were working with were able to bring in callers who would come in to the AT&T, was it AT&T or maybe it was Comcast, and they would come in as cartoon characters.
No, cute.
And when you spoke into the phone, it moved your face. And you could have all kinds of characters, like a fork, a spoon, a punk rocker, whatever it was. But your voice would trigger movement in the character. And then you would be talking back and forth with the host, who was also a cartoon character. Anyway.
What was your character?
I think I came as in a fork or something, but I was just there. I was part of the team.
I'd be a spoon.
Made it happen. There were many characters. There was a green room. There was all these kinds of ideas back then in the early 90s, but it wasn't with video. It was with animation. Anyway.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. It was an early interactive TV project, but the reason I mentioned it is because when I asked you about interactivity, you said people are talking to each other. That is interactive. And that show back then also was interactive. But back to what you're doing. If you could create a show today, knowing what's going on, in the world with the virus, right? And people are hungering for new content because these broadcasters, right, and studios have all shut down. What would you do today? Or you're already doing it with some of these broadcasters, but
yeah, we're doing some tremendous work right now. So the interesting thing for me is I didn't realize how much energy would come in this direction towards doing production this way. And so the VCC, we in the last couple of months, well, actually in the last couple of weeks, we've made it so our systems are remoted, so our call producers are working from home. So in addition to having guests from anywhere and producers from anywhere. We are now doing the call producing from anywhere, which allows us to scale into the model that we need. And it's been a little bit of a challenge because the same people who are trying to build scale for us are the same people who are supporting our customers today. And as the phones are ringing off the hook, we're trying to support more and more people at the same time. And one of the ways I'm thinking about this is the fact that we're helping our producer friends create new content, fresh content, is actually helping the industry remain healthy. Continue to produce content means continue to have viewers, which means we're continuing to employ people. I think in these times,
keep the cost down.
And keeping the cost down. And these times with people being laid off, and my heart goes out to their families. What we're doing and the way we're stretching and the way we're trying to stretch to do this, we're giving back, and we're trying to help the industry to maintain some semblance of production and production values.
Tell me about the costs that you are saving. I mean, there's obviously a cost to use the platform, but because there's no truck roll for the news industry, there are no physical live studios and hosts in one location. I mean, you're saving how much of the budget do you think you're cutting?
I can't tell you how much of the budget we're cutting, but I do know that in the aggregate, when you're using VCC to do remotes, the cost of the remotes are a fraction of what it would cost to send a crew and use a backpack or use a satellite truck. The latency is a lot lower, and we can get in anywhere almost instantaneously. That first clip we rolled from Madison Square Garden Network, we did 112 remotes in I think it was a 10 or 11 week period, and they saved over 160,000 miles of travel as a result of that. And we think that that's a total of 5 tons of carbon that were offset from just that work. So it's it's cost effective, it's location agnostic, and it's green. So I mean, there aren't a lot of things you could do that would check off all those boxes. So I think it's pretty cool.
So tell me how this could be used or is being used in the news industry. But companies that are able to pay remote reporters who may feel comfortable being out. I mean, I don't know what's happened to that aspect of the news industry if they have to self-isolate, but you could get AP reporters out there and CNN who are, coming in, but they have their own remote systems. I mean, maybe you're not looking for professional reporters, but you're looking for a person on the ground, right? You're asking them to call in. What do you think about citizen journalism? Is that something that you think that this would be good for?
My favorite example of this is we worked with WKRC in Cincinnati, not WKRP in Cincinnati, WKRC in Cincinnati, and loved working with them. And on the second day we're working with them, a reporter named Megan was downtown, and there was a shooting about 6 blocks away from where she was. We never met with her before, never spoke to her before. She didn't have time to download anything to her phone. But we contacted her. The studio gave us her cell phone number. We contacted her, and we got her up on her phone while she walked the 6 blocks to the site. She was able to practice with us what she was going to do. Explained how to do it. We explained how to hold the phone and where to put her fingers so she wouldn't block the sound or block the camera. And we effectively trained her in like 3 or 4 minutes. Right. She then went on the air using her smartphone. For the story of the shooting in downtown Cincinnati. Her crew was 20 minutes away. WKRC would have been the last one to break that story, and we were so pleased to be able to help them with that, and to do so many other things with them. So that's a great example. There are plenty of applications that you can equip your reporters with, live view apps and things like that are very good and they do a great job. But when you have somebody who doesn't have an app, who hasn't been trained, who is just a regular person or a celebrity or a business executive, you need a way to get them. And that's what we're for. And that's what we do really, really well.
We have an app here in San Francisco called Citizen, and it's basically what you're saying, but it's text and people offering video, but they it's not coordinated, it's not organized, there's no like broadcast concept. They might be a good partnership.
We're always looking to talk to partners. The world is too big to try to do it all alone. So we're always happy to talk to people.
So, I mean, are you, after these projects that you've done, do you get a sense that the broadcasters want to continue to do more of these? I mean, maybe you'll say that, but I'm just kind of curious if, because everyone's saying that the world is not going to go backwards. It's not going to be the same. Maybe things like this will be, people will do this more and more. Programming will become more distributed. What are your thoughts?
Well, so my first thought is everybody loves their workflows until they don't work anymore. Right. And so you cling to a method of creating content that you have done your whole life. Right. And then all of a sudden it's not working and you have to do something else. And so, they're turning to VCC. We're showing them something else. And then all of a sudden, that is the new way to do it. We've had a number of producers that we're working with now who says, why would I go back to doing my show the other way? Right. It doesn't make any sense. I can do this so much more economically. I don't have to. We're working with I can't tell you who, but it's a very fun show. It's a very fun show, and it has a little bit of the cartoon element that you brought up, right? And they have always brought their human guests into a studio to do this show, right? And we are able to bring those human guests in from wherever they are, and they're like, why would we do this any other way? This is so much better. So that's where people go. People absolutely are very interested in finding new ways to do something once they're shown that the old way isn't working anymore.
Any other new apps? I mean, aspects of your platform coming out soon? Anything you're introducing? Give us some hint.
Yeah, so we just introduced something called Eavesdrop. And Eavesdrop is a recording function within our platform. And so we can do a two-way, kind of like this, but at professional quality, with two people coming in, talking to each other, having a discussion, recording ISO feeds at HD quality of both of them, having low latency discussion between them, and having the producers outside that watching what's going on and into the ear of each of them with a mix minus IFB. Right, and we can do that at a very economical cost without using our hat platform. But it's it's a very neat way. And what's neat about Eavesdrop is it's recording the content. It stamps the content with name, time, date, network. So the person who the interviewee is now part of the file name, so it's easy to find. And then it automatically uploads into one of our partners. So for Lataku will bring it up into their cloud, and then they can automatically check it into the edit room. So even in Avid Edit Suite, they have the technology to allow this to flow right through into the Edit Suite. So it's really a touchless approach to doing these two-way conversations.
It comes to my mind that advertisers might be interested in exploring this. Is this something that you think that they could do? Or get people who like their products, have them call in, say that they like this or that thing. Have you had any contact with the agency world?
We it's something we've talked about, and we haven't really a lot of inroads there. It's something I think it's a really great idea. We did a test show called I Love My Subaru, because a lot of us at the company own Subarus. And so we all called in from our cars and talked about what we loved about them. And it worked really well. And so, there are brands that, would have everyday people call in and talk about them. That would be really good. We also did an on-air series of shows with QVC, where people would call in about the products that they
interested in.
And so, right, yeah, and that at this point that was just a test, but I believe it was pretty successful.
It would be a good format for technology reviews, product reviews in general. Sure. But speaking of another format, and we're going to have to wrap it up a little bit, but because I know you've done some experimentation with debates. I know you want to or explore the idea of doing town halls. Obviously, we've got a lot going on right now. I wish you'd been around. Yes. You could have been used for some of these debates. But tell me about politics and town halls and
so we think town halls are a whole nother avenue for us. So there are a couple of benefits. One is obviously that the candidate is on the road somewhere and can't necessarily get to a studio for every debate. Certainly these days with COVID-19, the participants in the town hall can't get into the same room as that person anyhow. But even on a normal basis, we're picturing a candidate on the road goes into a diner, and every Sunday morning they go into a different diner, and people call in, and from that diner they're hosting the show. And what's neat about it from a technological standpoint is that we can have everyday people come in. And they can be vetted and filtered by the staff of the candidate first. So they're not going to be in front of the candidate if there's somebody known to create problems for that candidate. But at the same time, it's open to the public. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, that you get this this vision for the candidate as being technologically adept, at the same time that you're enabling an audience to come in and meet with that candidate and ask them one-on-one questions. It's great for Meet the Mayor or anything like that. These are things where, as we grow, we're happy to take on.
I wish we could have a town hall right now about what's going on in this country, and wish
that
they'd
would be
done
great.
something with that bill. I wish we'd had more discussion about the bill. And have all these governors and presidents and things like that talk with each other on one screen. Oh boy, that would be interesting. All right, I won't. Let's not go into that. Let's show one more example, and then I think we're going to wrap it up. Unless there's anything you'd like to add.
Okay. No, this was terrific. I really enjoyed this, Tracy. The last video is a show we do with Major League Baseball. It's called Chatting Cage, and they bring in audience members to talk to the players. It's really cool.
Okay.
This is an amazing show because it's driven by you, the fan. You have the chance to join us live and ask your questions to our special guest.
What advice specifically do you have to younger players to break out of a slump?
What thoughts were going through your head when you made your Major League Baseball debut?
What would you be doing if you weren't playing baseball?
I really don't know, to be honest with you. I've loved baseball my whole life. It was my dream. It was like my main focus.
If you return as a reliever, which role would you do? Long relief, middle relief, setup man, or closer?
I want to come in and get lefties out. I've always had a really good breaking ball. I still do.
My mom sent me my Trevor Hoffman bobblehead, so I have him here with me today.
Don't get off, because I want to talk to you a little bit off the record. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. This is Tracy Swedlow, host of Televisionation. Contact us if you'd like to be on this show. And then, of course, this is Larry Thaler, who's doing something really relevant to the times. Video call center, VCC. Don't tell me VCC.tv. VCC.tv. And be sure to check to see what else they can do. It's magic. All right, thank you so much, Larry.
Okay, great.